This is it! Ukrainians found weak spot in Russian defenses. Ukrainians doubled down their counteroffensive efforts, and already as a result of this increased effort, they were able to establish full control of the Bakhmut Outskirts. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian Dude, and today I have a surprise for you. And let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. So, you already know about the life-sized Kadyrov pillows. You already know about the mini figurines of Ramzan Kadyrov. But what about this time about the blankets with Ramzan Kadyrov image? Can you believe this? I couldn't, but yes, they actually exist. So looks like whenever there is a demand, there is a supply. So you can buy Ramzan Kadyrov in his half size, you can buy Ramzan Kadyrov with his full face on the blanket, or you can be a little bit more adventurous and you can buy Ramzan Kadyrov in his military uniform. And I mean, it looks like it gets pretty serious demand if they continue to produce them. So just now, this time, please let me know in the comments, what will you buy? A pillow, a figurine, or maybe this very warm and cozy, I guess, blanket? And speaking about the merchandise, as promised, after reaching 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, I will do a giveaway of my own microphone, which I used to record more than 600 videos, and one of you guys will get it completely for free. And all you need to do is to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and also follow me on Instagram, because I will do this giveaway on my Instagram, and I will make a post with the details and requirements very soon. And spoiler alert, there will be way more prizes than just microphone for you to win. The link in my Instagram is down below. But okay, now just literally a couple of words about the Western military support to Ukraine. Then we'll go to the south and the east of the country to talk about the situation on the front lines. And then Ukrainians discovering weak spots of Russians, doubling down their counteroffensive to exploit this success, and already establishing full control over Bakhmut Outskirts. And first of all, Ukraine in the very near future will receive Leopard tanks from Germany and Denmark. Then we have the country of Spain, which will also send 4 more Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine, in addition to armored personnel carriers and military hospital. And then both Ukraine and Slovakia will work together to develop 155mm howitzers, so they're in compliance with Ukrainian requirements while using Western munitions. Next we have the country of Switzerland, which will allocate $6 million to restore primarily Ukrainian schools. And well, speaking about the Russian side, we have this very first official statement by the Ministry of Defense of Russia, Sergei Shoigu, after this armed mutiny attempt last week. And he said that thanks to heroic sacrifices of the Russian soldiers and their commandment, definitely not Sergei Shoigu himself, this armed mutiny was completely repelled with absolutely no consequences for this special military operation, and Ukrainian attempts to attack, all of them, 100% of them, were successfully repelled. He then also mentioned that all 16 tanks that Poland and Portugal sent to Ukraine are now completely destroyed, and Ukraine was not able to achieve any success across neither of the front lines, believe it or not. And we will talk a little bit more in details about Ukrainian counteroffensive very soon, but now just a couple last words about Russia, Belarus and Wagner. And so, if you remember, last week I mentioned that Wagner soldiers who went to Belarus, they started erecting this temporarily tent city, while Alexander Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, said that there is no such thing happening in his country. Well, apparently last couple of days we started receiving images of this temporarily camp city. As you can see, it is being built. And then we even have this satellite image, which shows that there is a pretty big number of these tents already dangerously close to the border with Ukraine. So it looks like that Alexander Lukashenko lied. And well, in response to that, Poland will allocate additionally 500 police officers and 2,000 soldiers next to the border with Belarus, in addition to 5,000 existing border patrol units. Alright, and now as promised, let's go to the southern front lines, before moving to the east, talking about Bakhmut situation and Russian weak spots. And first of all, we have this video from Crimean Bridge, where for some very unexplained reason there was a big traffic jam for the last several days, reaching up to 13 kilometers. Next we go to Kherson, where unfortunately once again there was a Russian attack against a civilian area and some people were injured. And just overall, according to President Zelensky, Ukrainians slowly but surely they do advance in the south, and there's even this video confirmation of compilation of combat activities which Ukrainian military shared with us. The entire video obviously will not be allowed on YouTube, that is why if you want to see the full uncensored version with the consequences, it will be available on my Patreon. The link is down below and there's still 1 week of free access. Next we go to the most recent hot spot in the south of Ukraine, Antonovsky Bridge, where according to the British intelligence, Ukrainians recently tried to cross Dnipro river and establish their foothold on the left side of Dnipro river. And apparently, after several days of intense combat activities, Ukrainians were able to eliminate approximately 49 Russian soldiers and 15 units of their military equipment, and in the end, they were able to successfully cross the river and establish their basic defense positions already on the other side. Next we move a little bit closer to the east, and according to Ukrainian sources, they were able to destroy 2 artillery units of Russians located in Peremozhne. One of the most significant combat activities in Zaporozhye front line happened to the north of Robotyne, where Ukrainians, as a result of their successful attacks, were able to capture a very important range defense line of Russians to the north of the city, establish their positions, and now they're getting ready to push towards Robotyne even harder. And then there was also a relative success of Ukrainians in Velika Novosilka Rivnopil area, and as you can see, they were able to advance a little bit closer to these Russian front lines. And just overall, according to Anna Malyar, she confirms the most intense fighting to the south of Orikhiv and to the south of Novosilka, with the main directions of Ukrainian forces of their attacks being forward next to Melitopol and to Berdyansk. Alright, and now as promised, let's go to the east, talk about Bakhmut and Russian weak spots, but first of all, unfortunately, we have to make a stop in Sumy, where recently yet another residential building has been attacked by Russians using one of their Shahid drones. And just overall, it is estimated that Ukrainians were able to intercept 13 out of these 17 Shahid drones by Russians in the last day alone. But yet another mind-boggling statistics which I received recently is that the pre-war population of Ukraine of approximately 44 million people, approximately a quarter of these people, they were either displaced internally or they had to leave the country. I mean, just think about it, a quarter. And it's like every single fourth of your friend, he left or she left the country. Just can you imagine this? And well, next we go to the east of Ukraine, where according to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, Russians and Ukrainians intensify their combat hostilities along Kupiansk-Svatve-Kremin front line, with no yet success from neither of the sides. But Ukrainians were able to destroy 5 armored personnel carriers of Russians to the south of Krasna Hora and to the north of Bakhmut. But then Ukrainians were able to destroy 5 armored personnel carriers of Russians to the south of Krasna Hora and 1 multiple launch rocket system called Grad in Pokrovsk. And just overall, as you can see from this map, a pretty sizable amount of land has been recaptured by Ukrainians to the south of Bakhmut in the last couple of days alone. Especially, Ukrainians got extremely close to liberating Kurdyumivka. But more importantly, Ukrainians are already establishing full control over Bakhmut Outskirts, as you can see from this image, where Ukrainians place their flag on one of these signs. It is even confirmed by the representative of Ukrainian military, Yuri Fedorenko, whose forces are fighting around Bakhmut, that Ukrainians are seizing the full advantage around the city. Some of them, they already move in and out of Bakhmut, and as you can see, they are establishing controls of the neighboring settlements and even the outskirts. And we even have this entire, almost 45 minutes long first-person combat footage from Sergeant Marcos, who is fighting on the eastern front lines. The footage is absolutely incredible. It is obviously way too long to show all of it on YouTube. That is why you can see the entire unedited version on my Patreon. The link is down below. And ultimately, just the last couple of mentions from the east before we talk about the weak spots of Russians is that there was an increase of Russian combat activities in Avdiivka and Marinka front lines, with approximately 15 attempts in less than 1 day by Russians. Then we have this map which shows us which warehouses of Russians have been destroyed by Ukrainians in 1 month, which gives you a pretty good idea where Ukrainians are trying to focus their attacks. And then ultimately, once again, according to Anna Malyar, in the last week alone, Ukrainians recaptured approximately 40 square kilometers of their land, both in the south and in the east. But wait, there is more, because the most important thing of the last several days is that according to Mikhailo Podolyak, Ukrainians already were able to find the weak spots of Russians across multiple front lines, and in the very near future, probably in the next several days, they'll be increasing the intensity of their counteroffensive activities exactly in these spots. It has even been indirectly confirmed by the report by the Institute for the Study of War, which claims that now Ukrainians have 6 front lines, when usually they have 3 or 4, which basically means they doubled down their efforts on counteroffensive. And in case Ukrainians are able to exploit this opportunity and achieve success, once again according to Mikhailo Podolyak, they might collapse Russian defense front lines in approximately 2 to 6 weeks. And even according to the president of Serbia, Alexander Vučić, which Serbia, to be honest, by the way, is supposedly the friend of Russia, he says that the massive Ukrainian counteroffensive, according to his intelligence, will start within the next couple of days. So as you can see, there are a lot of signs pointing that we might have major escalation happening extremely soon. If you don't want to miss it, just please subscribe to my channel. Only takes 1 click. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you want to win this Russian dude microphone. The best way to support my work will be through my Patreon. You can also become my channel member or simply use the PayPal link. Everything can be found to the right and down below. Thank you so much for your attention, товарищи. Beware, there are scammers in the comments, and see you tomorrow.